If you're watching this, something is shifting. Something inside you has been calling out, hasn't it? A whisper that started quiet, but now screams in moments of silence. You've felt it in your chest when you see others living the life you dream of. You've felt it when you look at your bank account and wonder why abundance feels like a foreign language you can't quite learn to speak. If you're here, it's because that whisper has become too loud to ignore, and the promise of prosperity has chosen you to finally understand why it's been so elusive. But here's what's strange, and I need you to pay attention to this, because it's going to change everything you think you know about manifestation and wealth. You've probably tried everything, haven't you? You've visualized until your mind was sore. You've affirmed until your voice went hoarse. You've made vision boards that could wallpaper a mansion, and yet somehow the life you're reaching for feels like it's behind glass. You can see it, you can almost touch it, but there's this invisible barrier that keeps you exactly where you are. What if I told you that this barrier isn't what you think it is? What if I told you that everything you've been taught about manifestation and abundance is not wrong, but incomplete? What if the reason you're stuck isn't because you're not trying hard enough, not because you're not positive enough, not because you don't deserve it, but because there's something ancient living inside you that's been programmed to keep you safe by keeping you small? This is about the fear of scarcity, but not in the way you've heard it described in those surface-level personal development videos. This is about a terror so deep, so embedded in your nervous system, that it operates like gravity, invisible, constant, and seemingly unbreakable. This terror has been passed down through generations, woven into your DNA like a survival code that once kept your ancestors alive, but now keeps you trapped in patterns of limitation that feel like they're literally written in your bones. You see, scarcity fear isn't just about money. It's not just about having enough food or shelter. It's about something much more primal, something that touches the very core of who you believe you're allowed to be in this world. It's the voice that says, "Who are you to want more? Who are you to dream bigger? Who are you to believe you deserve abundance when so many others have so little?" It's the voice that makes you feel guilty for your desires, ashamed of your ambitions, and terrified that if you truly go after what you want, you'll somehow be punished for your audacity. But here's the paradox that's going to break your mind open in the best possible way. The very fear that you think is protecting you is the exact energy that's blocking your prosperity. The mechanism your mind uses to keep you safe is the same mechanism that keeps abundance at arm's length. Your nervous system, that beautiful, complex network that's designed to keep you alive, has been hijacked by ancestral programming that no longer serves you, but continues to run your life like an outdated operating system. Think about this for a moment. Really think about it. How many times have you been on the verge of a breakthrough, on the edge of something magnificent, only to find yourself self-sabotaging? How many times have you gotten close to the success you dream of, only to unconsciously pull back, create drama, or find reasons why it won't work? How many times have you almost reached for that opportunity, almost made that investment in yourself, almost said yes to your dreams, only to feel that familiar tightness in your chest that whispers, "It's not safe, it's too risky, you're not ready, you're not enough"? This isn't weakness. This isn't a character flaw. This isn't evidence that you're broken or cursed or somehow fundamentally different from the people who seem to effortlessly attract wealth and success. This is your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do: keep you alive. The problem is that your nervous system can't tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a business opportunity, between a life-threatening situation and the vulnerable feeling of putting yourself out there to claim what you truly want. Your body responds to the possibility of expansion, of growth, of claiming your power and your prosperity, the same way it would respond to mortal danger. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, your palms get sweaty, your mind starts racing with worst-case scenarios, your stomach clenches, every cell in your body is screaming, "Retreat! Go back to what's familiar. Stay small, stay safe, stay alive." And so you do. You retreat. You go back to what's familiar. You stay small, believing you're staying safe, not realizing that you're actually dying a slow death of unfulfilled potential. You're surviving, but you're not living. You're existing, but you're not thriving. You're breathing, but you're not alive to the magnificent possibilities that are trying to birth themselves through you. Here's what most people don't understand about the fear of scarcity. It's not actually about scarcity at all. It's about safety. It's about belonging. It's about the primal human need to be accepted by the tribe, because historically, being cast out from the group meant death. Your ancestors who played it safe, who didn't stand out, who didn't rock the boat, who shared the little they had rather than risk losing everything for the chance of abundance. Those are the ancestors whose DNA you carry. Those are the survival strategies that are literally encoded in your cells. But what served them in their world is destroying your potential in this world. The same instincts that kept them alive are keeping you trapped in patterns of limitation that feel like prison walls you can't quite see, but can definitely feel. You bump up against them every time you try to expand, every time you reach for more, every time you dare to believe you could live differently than you've been living. This is why positive thinking alone doesn't work. This is why vision boards and affirmations and manifestation techniques, while beautiful and powerful, often leave you feeling like you're missing some crucial piece of the puzzle. You can't think your way out of a nervous system response. You can't visualize your way past ancestral programming. You can't affirm your way through trauma patterns that are living in your body, not just your mind. The fear of scarcity lives in your bones, in your breath, in your blood. It's in the way you hold your shoulders when you think about money. It's in the tension in your jaw when you consider raising your prices or asking for what you're worth. It's in the shallow breathing that happens automatically when you think about investing in yourself or your dreams. It's in the way your stomach drops when you imagine what people might think if you truly owned your power and claimed your prosperity. And here's the most beautiful and terrifying truth of all. This fear, this ancient terror that's been running your life from the shadows, is also your gateway to freedom. The very thing that's been blocking your abundance is also the key to unlocking it. The nervous system that's been keeping you small is the same nervous system that, when healed and recalibrated, becomes your greatest ally in creating the life you've always dreamed of. But to get there, to truly break free from the invisible chains of scarcity programming, we have to go deeper than anyone has ever taken you before. We have to go into the places that other teachers avoid, the uncomfortable truths that most manifestation gurus won't touch, the shadow work that's required to truly step into your power as a conscious creator of your reality. If what I'm sharing is resonating with you, if you can feel the truth of these words in your body, not just your mind, do me a favor and let me know in the comments. Sometimes we need to know we're not alone in this journey, and your sharing might be exactly what someone else needs to hear, to know they're not crazy for feeling the way they feel. Because what we're about to explore together is going to challenge everything you think you know about manifestation, abundance, and what it really takes to break free from the patterns that have been keeping you stuck. What we're about to discover is going to require courage, not just to learn new concepts, but to feel things you've been avoiding, to face truths you've been running from, and to reclaim parts of yourself that got lost along the way. The promise that chose you isn't just about having more money or achieving external success. The promise that chose you is about remembering who you really are, underneath all the fear, all the programming, all the inherited limitations that have been masquerading as your identity. The promise that chose you is about coming home to your true nature as a being of infinite creative potential, someone who was born not to survive, but to thrive, not to exist, but to create, not to play small, but to shine so brightly that you give others permission to do the same. Are you ready to discover why everything you've tried hasn't worked the way you hoped? Are you ready to understand the hidden mechanisms that have been sabotaging your success from the inside out? Are you ready to learn what it really takes to reprogram not just your thinking, but your entire nervous system for abundance, prosperity, and the kind of magnetic success that feels effortless because it's aligned with who you truly are? Then stay with me, because what comes next is going to explain exactly why your best efforts haven't been enough, and more importantly, what you need to do instead to finally break free from the invisible prison of scarcity programming and step into the abundant reality that's been waiting for you all along. And if I told you that your own energy is creating the static that's blocking your manifestation, that every single day, without realizing it, you're broadcasting a frequency that's completely contradicting what you say you want, that your nervous system is sending out signals that are literally repelling the very abundance you're consciously trying to attract. This is where most manifestation teachings fail you. They focus on what you're thinking, what you're visualizing, what you're affirming, but they completely ignore what you're actually transmitting energetically. They treat manifestation like it's a mental exercise, like the universe is some kind of cosmic vending machine where you just need to insert the right thoughts and out comes your desired reality. But manifestation isn't about what you think. It's about what you emit. It's not about what you say you want. It's about what frequency you're actually broadcasting from the deepest layers of your being. And here's what's going to shock you. Most of the time, these two things are in complete opposition to each other. Think of it like a radio. When you want to listen to your favorite station, you have to tune into the exact frequency where that station is broadcasting. If you're even slightly off, what do you get? Static, interference, a garbled message that's impossible to understand. Now imagine that your conscious mind is trying to tune into 105.7 FM, the abundant station, but your nervous system, your emotional body, your cellular memory is locked onto 98.3 FM, the scarcity station. What's going to come through your speakers? Pure static. That's what's happening in your life right now. Your conscious mind is desperately trying to tune into abundance, prosperity, success, and fulfillment. You're doing everything right on the mental level. You're visualizing, you're affirming, you're taking inspired action, but your entire energetic system is tuned to a completely different frequency, the frequency of survival, of limitation, of not enough, of not safe, of not worthy. And the universe, that magnificent field of infinite possibility that's always responding to your energetic transmission, is giving you exactly what you're actually asking for, not what you think you're asking for. You're getting a perfect match to your actual frequency, which is why your reality keeps reflecting your fears instead of your desires, your limitations instead of your potential, your wounds instead of your dreams. This is what I call the coherence problem, and it's the single biggest reason why manifestation feels so frustrating, so inconsistent, so maddeningly elusive for most people. You're not lacking desire. You're not lacking vision. You're not lacking effort or commitment or worthiness. You're lacking coherence between what your mind wants and what your energy is actually broadcasting. Let me give you a specific example that's going to make this crystal clear. Sarah is a brilliant entrepreneur with a revolutionary business idea. She spends hours every day visualizing her success, affirming her worth, taking inspired action toward her goals. She can see herself living in abundance, serving thousands of people, making the impact she knows she's meant to make. But every time she gets close to a breakthrough, something happens. A client backs out at the last minute. A partnership falls through. Technology fails at crucial moments. Unexpected expenses wipe out her savings. Sarah thinks the universe is testing her, or that she needs to try harder, or that she's somehow cursed. But what's actually happening is that while her conscious mind is broadcasting on the abundance frequency, her nervous system is locked onto the scarcity frequency. Deep in her cellular memory lives the story of her grandmother who lost everything in the Great Depression and spent the rest of her life hoarding food and living in terror of financial ruin. Deep in her emotional body lives the shame she felt as a child when her family couldn't afford the things other kids had. Deep in her nervous system lives the programming that says, it's not safe to have too much. It's not safe to stand out. It's not safe to succeed where others have failed. So while Sarah is consciously trying to manifest abundance, her energy is unconsciously creating scenarios that keep her safe by keeping her struggling. Her nervous system is literally sabotaging her success because from its perspective, success equals danger, visibility equals vulnerability, and abundance equals inevitable loss. This is why she keeps getting so close to breakthrough and then watching it slip through her fingers. It's not bad luck. It's not coincidence. It's not the universe testing her. It's her own energy creating perfect coherence with her deepest programming, which is programmed for survival, not success. And here's what's going to blow your mind. This is happening to you, too, right now, in ways you haven't even begun to recognize. Every time you say you want financial freedom but feel guilty about having more than others, you're broadcasting incoherence. Every time you visualize success but feel afraid of what people will think, you're creating static in your signal. Every time you take action toward your dreams but hold your breath waiting for the other shoe to drop, you're tuning into two different frequencies simultaneously. And what you get is interference, confusion, mixed results that leave you wondering if manifestation even works. The universe isn't punishing you. The universe isn't withholding from you. The universe isn't testing you. The universe is simply giving you a perfect reflection of your actual energetic state. which includes not just what you consciously desire, but what you unconsciously fear, what you ancestrally remember, what you cellularly believe about safety and worthiness and belonging. This is why trauma work isn't optional for manifestation. This is why nervous system regulation isn't just a nice add-on to your spiritual practice. This is why you can't just think your way into a new reality, because manifestation happens at the level of your entire being. Your thoughts, yes, but also your emotions, your nervous system, your cellular memory, your ancestral programming, your deepest beliefs about who you are and what you're allowed to have in this life. When these levels are aligned, when your conscious desires and your unconscious programming are broadcasting on the same frequency, manifestation becomes inevitable. It stops being something you have to force or push or struggle for. It becomes something that flows through you naturally, effortlessly, like water finding its way downhill. But when these levels are in conflict, when your surface desires and your deep programming are at war with each other, you get chaos. You get mixed results. You get close calls and near misses and almosts that leave you feeling like you're going crazy, like there's some invisible force working against you, like you're cursed or broken or fundamentally different from people who seem to manifest easily. You're not different. You're just incoherent. And the beautiful news is that coherence can be learned. It can be practiced. It can be embodied, but it requires going deeper than most people are willing to go. It requires facing the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. It requires feeling the feelings you've been numbing. It requires meeting the fear that's been running your life from the shadows. Think about the last time you were about to make a big leap, start a business, end a relationship, move to a new city, invest in yourself, speak your truth, claim your power. Remember that feeling that came up, that tightness in your chest, that flutter in your stomach, that voice in your head that started listing all the reasons why it wouldn't work. That wasn't intuition guiding you away from the wrong decision. That was your nervous system activating your survival programming, trying to keep you safe by keeping you small. And what did you do? If you're like most people, you listened to it. You found reasons to wait, to prepare more, to play it safe. You told yourself you needed to be more ready, more worthy, more certain. You chose the familiar discomfort of staying stuck over the unfamiliar discomfort of growth. You chose the known limitations over the unknown possibilities. This is where the incoherence lives, in the gap between what you consciously want and what you unconsciously believe is safe, in the space between your dreams and your programming, in the tension between your soul's calling and your nervous system's conditioning. Your soul knows you're meant for more. Your soul remembers your unlimited nature. Your soul carries the frequency of your highest potential. But your nervous system remembers the pain, the trauma, the moments when expansion felt dangerous, when visibility meant vulnerability, when reaching for more resulted in loss or rejection or punishment. And so you live in this constant internal war, this exhausting battle between the part of you that wants to soar and the part of you that's terrified of falling. You spend your energy managing this internal conflict instead of channeling it toward your dreams. You waste your creative power trying to reconcile irreconcilable frequencies instead of using it to build the life you're meant to live. But here's what changes everything. This war doesn't have to be permanent. This incoherence doesn't have to define your experience. This static in your signal doesn't have to continue disrupting your manifestations for the rest of your life, because the same nervous system that's been keeping you stuck is also your greatest ally for breakthrough. The same emotional body that's been broadcasting fear can be retrained to broadcast love. The same cellular memory that's been holding trauma can be reprogrammed to hold triumph. The same ancestral patterns that have been limiting you can be transformed into ancestral gifts that empower you. But to get there, to truly resolve this coherence problem, we have to go even deeper. We have to find the original wound, the source code of your scarcity programming. The moment or moments when your nervous system decided that safety meant staying small, that love meant staying limited, that belonging meant betraying your dreams. Because until we find that wound and heal it at the root, you'll keep experiencing the same patterns, the same near misses, the same frustrating cycle of getting close to what you want and then watching it slip away. You'll keep living in the static between who you're meant to be and who you think you're allowed to be. And that wound, that original programming that's been running your life from the shadows, that's where we're going next. Because once you understand how it was created, once you see how it's been operating, once you learn how to heal it at the cellular level, everything changes. Your frequency changes. Your magnetism changes. Your reality changes. The static clears, and your signal becomes crystal clear. That static in your energetic field isn't a defect. It's an echo of your past, and it has a name. It has a face. It has a story. And until you meet it, until you understand it, until you learn to heal it, it will continue to run your life from the shadows, sabotaging your success with the precision of a heat-seeking missile programmed to destroy anything that threatens your nervous system's definition of safety. This is what I call the hidden wound, and it's not what you think it is. It's not just about that time your parents fought about money. It's not just about growing up poor or watching your family struggle. It's not even just about the obvious traumas that left visible scars on your psyche. The hidden wound is something much more subtle, much more pervasive, and much more powerful than any single event. The hidden wound is the moment when your nervous system made a decision about reality that became your operating system for life. It's the split second when your developing brain, trying to make sense of a world that felt unsafe or unpredictable, created a survival strategy that traded your unlimited potential for the promise of belonging, acceptance, and safety. And here's what's going to shake you to your core. You were probably so young when this happened that you have no conscious memory of it. Your rational mind can't even access it because it happened before your rational mind was fully developed. It lives in your body, in your nervous system, in what neuroscientists call implicit memory, the kind of memory that shapes your responses without you even knowing it exists. Let me paint a picture for you. You're 3 years old, maybe 4. Your parents are having another fight about money. The energy in the house is tense, scary, unpredictable. You don't understand the words they're using, but your nervous system is picking up every vibration of stress, every frequency of fear, every energetic signature of scarcity and struggle. Your little body is absorbing it all like a sponge, and your developing brain is working overtime to make sense of this chaos. And in that moment, in that split second of overwhelm, your nervous system makes a decision. Money causes pain. Having desires causes conflict. Wanting more creates danger. It's safer to want less. It's safer to expect less. It's safer to be less. Or maybe it wasn't about money at all. Maybe you were 5 years old and you got so excited about something you wanted, a toy, a trip, an experience, that you expressed your desire with the pure, unfiltered enthusiasm that only children possess. And maybe the adults around you, dealing with their own stress and limitations, shut you down. We can't afford that. Don't get your hopes up. Stop being so demanding. Other children don't have what you have, so be grateful. In that moment, your nervous system doesn't hear practical information about budgets and limitations. What it hears is, your desires are dangerous. Your excitement is too much. Your wanting creates problems. To be loved, to belong, to stay safe, you must want less, dream smaller, be grateful for scraps. Or maybe the wound happened even more subtly. Maybe you were 6 years old and you achieved something amazing, won a contest, got the lead in the school play, scored the winning goal. You were so proud, so excited to share your triumph with the people you loved most. But instead of celebration, you encountered jealousy, diminishment, or that particular kind of energy that says, don't get too big for your britches. Don't think you're special. Don't stand out too much. In that moment, your nervous system learned that success is dangerous, that excellence invites attack, that shining too brightly makes you a target. And so you developed what I call the dimmer switch, an unconscious mechanism that automatically dials down your power, your potential, your prosperity the moment it starts to shine too bright. This is the hidden wound. Not a single traumatic event, but a pattern of moments when your nervous system learned to equate expansion with danger, abundance with loss, success with separation, and power with punishment. These moments created what neuroscientists call neural pathways, literal highways in your brain that automatically route your responses through the filter of this early programming. And here's what's absolutely crucial for you to understand. Your nervous system was right. In that context, with those people, at that time in your life, playing small probably was safer. Wanting less probably did create less conflict. Dimming your light probably did help you avoid criticism or rejection or the withdrawal of love. Your nervous system wasn't broken or wrong or dysfunctional. It was brilliant. It was doing exactly what it was designed to do, keep you safe and help you belong. The problem is that what was adaptive then is destructive now. What served you as a child is sabotaging you as an adult. The survival strategies that protected you then are now the prison walls that contain you. Your nervous system is still operating from that old programming, still making decisions based on threats that no longer exist, still sacrificing your potential on the altar of safety that you no longer need. This is why quantum physics talks about the observer effect, the phenomenon where the act of observing something changes it. But what most people don't understand is that you're not just observing your reality. You're observing it through the lens of your wound. You're seeing everything, every opportunity, every possibility, every potential for expansion through the filter of that original programming that says expansion equals danger. So when abundance shows up in your life, your wound observes it as a threat. When success knocks on your door, your wound observes it as dangerous. When opportunities for growth and expansion present themselves, your wound observes them through the lens of that 3-year-old or 5-year-old or 6-year-old who learned that wanting more, being more, having more leads to pain, rejection, and the loss of love. And because you're observing these opportunities through the lens of your wound, you literally collapse the quantum field of possibility into the reality that matches your deepest programming. You unconsciously create scenarios that prove your wound right. You attract situations that validate your limitations. You manifest experiences that confirm your unworthiness. This is why Sarah, from our earlier example, keeps getting close to breakthrough and then watching it slip away. Her conscious mind is trying to observe abundance and success, but her wound, the one created when her grandmother's stories of the Great Depression became her cellular memory of financial terror, is observing expansion as a setup for inevitable loss. So her reality keeps reflecting that wound back to her, creating experiences that feel like evidence that her grandmother was right to be afraid, that abundance is temporary, that financial security is an illusion. The universe isn't punishing Sarah. Reality isn't conspiring against her. Her own observational frequency, filtered through her hidden wound, is creating a perfect mirror of her deepest programming. She's getting exactly what she's energetically asking for, even though it's the opposite of what she consciously desires. But here's where this gets really beautiful and really hopeful. The same mechanism that's been creating your limitations can be reprogrammed to create your liberation. The same observer effect that's been collapsing possibilities into problems can be trained to collapse possibilities into miracles. The same nervous system that's been filtering expansion through the lens of trauma can learn to filter expansion through the lens of triumph. Because your wound isn't actually the truth about you. Your limitations aren't actually who you are. Your scarcity programming isn't actually your identity. They're just stories your nervous system created to help you survive a world that felt unsafe, unpredictable, or unwelcoming. And stories can be rewritten. Neural pathways can be rewired. Wounds can be healed. But, and this is crucial, healing doesn't happen by bypassing the wound or pretending it doesn't exist or trying to positive think your way past it. Healing happens by meeting the wound with the kind of presence, compassion, and understanding that it never received when it was first created. Think about that little child who first experienced the moment when your nervous system decided that safety meant staying small. That child didn't get the comfort, the validation, the reassurance that their desires were beautiful, that their dreams were valid, that their bigness was not only okay, but necessary for the world. That child learned to abandon their own expansion to maintain connection with the people they needed for survival. That child is still inside you. That wound is still active in your system. That original moment of choosing safety over expansion is still running your life, still making decisions about what's possible for you, still filtering every opportunity through the lens of that early programming. And until you go back to that child, until you meet that wound with the love and understanding and safety it never received, until you give your nervous system a new experience of what happens when you expand, when you want more, when you shine your light fully, until you do that deep foundational healing work, you'll keep running up against the same invisible walls, the same mysterious sabotage, the same frustrating pattern of getting close to what you want and then watching it disappear. This is deep work, and it requires more than just understanding or awareness. It requires a complete rewiring of your nervous system, a fundamental shift in how your body responds to expansion, a revolutionary approach to healing that goes beyond traditional therapy or surface-level personal development techniques. Because here's what most people don't understand. Your wound isn't just psychological, it's physiological. It's not just in your mind, it's in your cells. your nervous system, your very DNA. It's been passed down through generations, carried in the bodies of your ancestors who survived famines, wars, persecution, and countless forms of trauma that taught them that safety meant scarcity, that survival meant staying small. Your wound is ancient. Your fear of abundance is ancestral. Your terror of expansion is cellular. And that means the healing has to happen at every level, not just mental, but emotional, physical, energetic, and spiritual. It has to be a full spectrum transformation that literally rewrites the code of your being. Your wound isn't your weakness. Your trauma isn't your fault. Your programming isn't your identity. Your wound is actually your gateway to your greatest power. Your trauma, when healed, becomes your triumph. Your programming, when rewired, becomes your pathway to unprecedented expansion and abundance. The very sensitivity that made you susceptible to wounding is also the sensitivity that makes you capable of profound healing. The very nervous system that learned to contract in the face of danger is the same nervous system that can learn to expand in the face of opportunity. The very heart that learned to close to protect itself is the same heart that, when healed, becomes a magnet for miracles. But to get there, to truly transform your relationship with abundance and prosperity, we have to understand not just what created the wound, but how to heal it in a way that literally rewires your nervous system for expansion instead of contraction, for abundance instead of scarcity, for thriving instead of just surviving. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. Because once you understand the revolutionary approach to healing that actually works, the one that goes beyond talk therapy and positive thinking to create real, lasting change at the cellular level, everything becomes possible. The prison walls of limitation don't just crack, they dissolve entirely, revealing the vast landscape of potential that's been waiting for you all along. Your wound has been your prison, but it's about to become your portal. The power to manifest isn't outside of you. It never was. Your greatest act of rebellion against the forces that have kept you small isn't learning a new manifestation technique or finding the right affirmation or visualizing harder. Your greatest act of rebellion is healing the wound that has convinced you that you're powerless in the first place. This is where everything you've been taught about manifestation gets turned upside down. This is where the real work begins. Not the work of doing more, trying harder, or forcing outcomes, but the revolutionary work of becoming who you actually are, underneath all the programming, all the conditioning, all the inherited limitations that have been masquerading as your identity. Because here's the truth that no one wants to tell you. Manifestation isn't about creating something new. Manifestation is about remembering something ancient. It's about reclaiming something that was never actually lost, just temporarily forgotten. It's about removing the blocks to your natural state of abundance, creativity, and power. You didn't come into this world lacking. You didn't arrive here broken or limited, or somehow fundamentally flawed. You came here as pure potential, unlimited creative force, a being so powerful that you could literally shape reality with your consciousness. But then the world happened, conditioning happened, programming happened, and layer by layer, wound by wound, limitation by limitation, you forgot who you really are. The work isn't to become someone new. The work is to remember who you've always been. The work is to heal the wounds that convinced you that you're small, that you're limited, that you're at the mercy of external circumstances. The work is to reclaim your birthright as a conscious creator of reality. But here's where most healing approaches fail you. They try to heal from the mind down instead of from the body up. They try to think their way through trauma instead of feeling their way through it. They try to bypass the nervous system instead of working with it. They try to transcend the wound instead of transforming it. Real healing, the kind that actually rewires your nervous system and changes your energetic frequency, happens in your body, not just your mind. It happens through felt experience, not just cognitive understanding. It happens by giving your nervous system new experiences of safety, expansion, and power, not by convincing your mind that you should feel differently. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. Remember Sarah, whose business keeps almost succeeding and then mysteriously failing? Traditional therapy might help her understand why she has money fears. Traditional manifestation coaching might teach her new visualization techniques. But neither of these approaches addresses the real problem. Her nervous system is still operating from that ancient programming that says expansion equals danger. Real healing for Sarah looks like this. Instead of trying to think her way past her fear, she learns to feel her way through it. Instead of trying to override her nervous system's responses, she learns to dialogue with them. When that familiar tightness comes up in her chest as she's about to make a big business decision, instead of pushing through it or trying to think positively, she pauses, she breathes, she places her hand on her chest and says, "Hello, fear. I see you. I feel you. What are you trying to protect me from?" And then she listens, not with her mind, but with her body. And what she hears might be the voice of her 5-year-old self, terrified of being too much, too demanding, too visible. What she feels might be the cellular memory of her grandmother's panic about financial security. What she experiences might be the ancestral terror of standing out, of being different, of risking everything for the possibility of something more. Instead of fighting these voices, instead of trying to shut them down or think them away, Sarah learns to meet them with compassion. She learns to speak to her 5-year-old self with the love and reassurance that child never received. She learns to acknowledge her grandmother's fear while making a different choice. She learns to honor her ancestors' survival strategies while choosing expansion over contraction. This is what I call embodied healing. Healing that happens not just in your thoughts, but in your tissues. Not just in your beliefs, but in your bones. Not just in your mind, but in your entire nervous system. It's healing that literally changes how your body responds to opportunity, expansion, and abundance. When you heal this way, something miraculous happens. Your nervous system stops perceiving expansion as dangerous. Your body stops contracting when abundance shows up. Your energy stops broadcasting the frequency of scarcity and starts transmitting the frequency of possibility. You don't have to force manifestation anymore because you've removed the internal resistance that was blocking it. But here's what's revolutionary about this approach. The healing itself becomes the manifestation. The act of reclaiming your power, of standing up to the programming that's been running your life, of choosing expansion over contraction, even when every cell in your body is screaming for you to stay small. That act is manifestation in its purest form. You're not just healing so you can manifest later. The healing is the manifestation. Every moment you choose to feel instead of flee, to expand instead of contract, to trust instead of terror, you're literally rewiring your nervous system and changing your energetic frequency in real time. You're collapsing old timelines of limitation and stepping into new timelines of possibility. This is why I call it the rebellion of healing. Because in a world that profits from your insecurities, that benefits from your limitations, that needs you to stay small and scared and dependent, choosing to heal is the ultimate revolutionary act. Choosing to reclaim your power is the ultimate rebellion. Choosing to remember who you really are is the ultimate threat to every system that has ever tried to convince you that you're powerless. And the beautiful thing about this rebellion is that it's not violent or aggressive or destructive. It's the gentlest, most loving revolution you'll ever participate in. It's a rebellion that happens through tenderness, through compassion, through the radical act of treating yourself with the love you've always deserved, but perhaps never received. Let me give you a specific practice that illustrates this perfectly. I call it the quantum breath, and it's designed to literally train your nervous system to associate expansion with safety instead of danger. Here's how it works. You sit quietly and place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. You breathe in slowly and deeply, imagining that with each inhale, you're literally expanding your energy field. You're not just filling your lungs with air. You're expanding your presence, your power, your capacity to receive abundance. As you exhale, instead of contracting, you maintain that expanded state. You breathe out limitation and breathe in possibility. But here's the key. As you do this, you pay attention to what comes up. Because your nervous system, trained to equate expansion with danger, is going to start sounding alarms. You might feel anxiety. You might feel guilt. You might hear voices telling you that you don't deserve to take up this much space, that you're being selfish, that something bad will happen if you expand too much. And instead of stopping, instead of contracting back to what feels safe, you stay expanded, and you speak to these voices with love. You say, "Thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm safe now. I'm allowed to expand. I'm allowed to take up space. I'm allowed to be powerful." You're not just doing a breathing exercise. You're literally reprogramming your nervous system's response to expansion. You're teaching your body that it's safe to be big, safe to be powerful, safe to claim your space in the world. You're giving your nervous system new data that contradicts the old programming. And as you do this practice over time, something extraordinary happens. Your body starts to crave expansion instead of fearing it. Your nervous system starts to associate growth with safety instead of danger. Your energy starts to naturally broadcast abundance instead of scarcity. This is what real manifestation looks like, not forcing or pushing or trying to manipulate outcomes, but literally becoming the frequency of what you want to experience, becoming so aligned with abundance that abundance has no choice but to flow through you, becoming so comfortable with expansion that opportunities naturally gravitate toward your energy field. But this isn't just about individual healing. This is about collective liberation. Because every time you heal a wound, you're not just healing it for yourself, you're healing it for everyone who came before you and everyone who will come after you. You're literally changing the trajectory of your ancestral line, breaking generational patterns of limitation and scarcity. When you heal your relationship with abundance, you're not just changing your bank account, you're changing the frequency of abundance available to your children, your community, your entire lineage. You're becoming an ancestor that future generations will thank, instead of continuing patterns that future generations will need to heal from. This is the true power of the rebellion of healing. It's not just personal transformation, It's planetary transformation. It's not just individual manifestation, it's collective elevation. Every person who does this deep work, who reclaims their power, who remembers their unlimited nature, makes it easier for everyone else to do the same. Because power isn't finite, abundance isn't scarce. Success isn't a zero-sum game where someone else's win means your loss. Power, abundance, success, these are frequencies that expand when shared, that multiply when embodied by more people, that become more available to everyone when anyone steps fully into their potential. This is why your healing matters so much. This is why your expansion serves the world. This is why reclaiming your power isn't selfish but sacred. You're not just changing your life, you're changing the fabric of reality itself. You're not just manifesting your dreams, you're making it easier for everyone to manifest theirs. The wound that's been keeping you small isn't just your wound, it's humanity's wound. The fear of abundance isn't just your fear, it's our collective fear. The programming that says safety means scarcity isn't just your programming. It's the programming we've all inherited from generations of ancestors who lived through times when resources truly were scarce, when expansion truly was dangerous, when power truly was limited. But those times are over. We live in an age of unprecedented abundance, unlimited information, infinite possibility. The old survival strategies that served our ancestors are now the very things that prevent us from thriving in this new world. The protective mechanisms that kept them alive are now the prison walls that keep us limited. Your rebellion against these limitations isn't just for you, it's for all of us. Your healing isn't just personal, it's political. Your expansion isn't just individual, it's evolutionary. You're not just breaking free from your own patterns, you're breaking free for everyone who shares your DNA, everyone who carries similar wounds, everyone who has ever felt the terror of their own power. This is the sacred responsibility of remembering who you are. This is the holy work of reclaiming your birthright. This is the revolutionary act of choosing expansion over contraction, abundance over scarcity, love over fear, truth over programming. And as you do this work, as you heal these wounds, as you reclaim your power, something magnificent begins to happen. The static in your signal starts to clear. The interference between your desires and your manifestations starts to dissolve. The gap between who you are and who you're meant to be starts to close. And in that closing gap, in that clearing static, in that dissolving interference, a truth emerges that changes everything. A truth so simple and so profound that it redefines your entire understanding of manifestation, abundance, and your role as a conscious creator in this magnificent, miraculous universe. What you're about to understand is the deepest truth about manifestation, and it's going to change everything. Not because it's complex or mystical or requires years of study to comprehend, but because it's so fundamentally simple that your mind has been missing it your entire life, looking right past the obvious truth while searching for some hidden secret that was never actually hidden. Here it is. You are not trying to become abundant. You already are abundant. You are not trying to manifest prosperity. You already are prosperity. You are not trying to attract success. You already are success. The manifestation process isn't about creating something new or attracting something external. It's about removing the blocks to the recognition of what has always been true. Abundance isn't something you have to earn, attract, or deserve. Abundance is what you are. Prosperity isn't a destination you reach. Prosperity is your natural state. Success isn't an achievement you attain. Success is the inevitable expression of your true nature when it's no longer filtered through the lens of limitation, scarcity, and wound. The entire journey we've been on together, from recognizing the paradox, to understanding the coherence problem, to finding the hidden wound, to engaging in the rebellion of healing, has been leading to this moment of recognition. Not recognition of something new, but recognition of something that was never actually lost. You came into this world as pure creative potential, before the programming, before the conditioning, before the wounds that taught you to fear your own power. You were unlimited consciousness expressing itself through the vehicle of your human experience. That consciousness didn't go anywhere. It didn't get damaged or diminished or somehow broken by what you experienced. It just got covered over, layer by layer, like a diamond covered in mud. The healing work isn't polishing the diamond. The diamond was always perfect. The healing work is washing away the mud so the diamond can shine with its original radiance. And what you discover when that mud is washed away is that you were never actually separate from abundance, never actually disconnected from prosperity, never actually lacking in power or potential or possibility. You were just temporarily convinced that you were. This is why every manifestation technique you've ever tried has worked sometimes and failed other times. When those techniques worked, it wasn't because they were magically effective. It was because in those moments, you temporarily forgot your limitations. You temporarily stepped out of the frequency of scarcity and into your natural frequency of abundance. You temporarily stopped filtering your creative power through the lens of your wound and let it flow freely. But then the programming would kick back in. The wound would get triggered. The nervous system would remember its old patterns. And you'd drop back into the familiar frequency of limitation, wondering what you did wrong, why the technique stopped working, why the universe seemed to stop responding to your desires. The universe never stopped responding. You just started broadcasting from a different frequency again. You temporarily returned to abundance, then got pulled back into scarcity by the gravitational force of your unhealed programming. This is why manifestation often feels so inconsistent, so unreliable, so maddeningly elusive. You're not learning to create something new. You're learning to consistently access what you already are. You're not developing a new skill. You're removing the interference that's been blocking your natural signal. Think about it this way. Imagine you have a radio that's perfectly capable of receiving crystal clear signals from stations around the world. But there's interference, static caused by damaged wiring, competing frequencies, electromagnetic disturbance. Sometimes, when atmospheric conditions are just right, or when you move to a different location, the static clears and you hear beautiful music with perfect clarity. But then, the interference returns and the music becomes garbled again. The problem isn't that the radio is broken or that the music isn't being broadcast. The problem is the interference. Clear the interference and the music flows effortlessly, consistently, beautifully. Your consciousness is that radio. Abundance is that music. Your wounds, your programming, your nervous system's survival patterns, those are the interference. Clear the interference, and abundance flows through you as naturally as breath flows through your lungs, as naturally as blood flows through your veins, as naturally as love flows through your heart when it's open and undefended. This is why the healing work is so crucial, not because you need to become someone different, but because you need to remember who you've always been. Not because you need to develop new capabilities, but because you need to remove the blocks to the capabilities you were born with. Every human being is born as an unlimited creative being. Every child comes into the world knowing, at a cellular level, that they are powerful, that they are worthy, that they deserve love and abundance, and all the beauty life has to offer. Watch a 2-year-old for 5 minutes, and you'll see this truth in action. They expect their needs to be met. They express their desires without shame or apology. They take up space unapologetically. They live in the present moment with complete presence. They create constantly, joyfully, without concern for whether their creations are good enough or worthy enough or perfect enough. That child is who you really are. That unlimited, creative, joyful, present, powerful being is your true nature. Everything else, all the limitation, all the fear, all the scarcity programming, is just temporary conditioning that got layered on top of your original frequency. And here's the most beautiful part. That original frequency is still broadcasting. Underneath all the static, beneath all the interference, your true nature is still transmitting the signal of abundance, creativity, joy, and unlimited possibility. The work isn't to create a new signal. The work is to clear the static so you can hear the music that's been playing all along. This is why manifestation becomes effortless once you do the deep healing work. It's not that you get better at forcing outcomes or manipulating reality. It's that you stop interfering with your natural creative process. It's that you remove the internal resistance that was blocking the flow of abundance through your life. When you're operating from your original frequency, manifestation isn't something you do. It's something you are. It's not a technique you practice. It's a natural expression of your being. It's not work you have to force. It's the inevitable result of being aligned with your true nature. Success stops being something you chase and becomes something you embody. Abundance stops being something you attract and becomes something you radiate. Prosperity stops being something you manifest and becomes something you are. And perhaps most importantly, you stop feeling like you're fighting against the universe and start feeling like you're dancing with it. You stop experiencing life as a struggle against limitations and start experiencing it as a celebration of possibilities. You stop seeing yourself as separate from abundance and start recognizing yourself as abundance expressing itself in human form. This shift in perspective changes everything. When you know, at a cellular level, that you are abundance, rather than someone trying to attract abundance, your entire energy changes. Your nervous system relaxes. Your frequency shifts. Your magnetism transforms. You start naturally attracting opportunities, relationships, experiences, and resources that match your true frequency rather than your wounded frequency. But the most profound shift isn't in what you attract. It's in how you experience yourself. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start feeling like the conscious creator of your reality. You stop feeling powerless and start feeling powerful. You stop feeling separate and start feeling connected to the infinite field of possibility that surrounds and pervades everything. You realize that you were never actually separate from Source, never actually disconnected from the universe, never actually lacking in any fundamental way. You were just temporarily confused about your true identity. You forgot who you were and started believing you were the limitations instead of the limitless being experiencing the limitations. This awakening to your true nature isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of living from your authentic power. It's the start of creating from love instead of fear, from abundance instead of scarcity, from truth instead of programming. It's the commencement of a life where manifestation isn't something you struggle with, but something that flows through you as naturally as your own heartbeat. Your journey was never about becoming someone new. It was about remembering who you've always been. It was never about developing new powers. It was about reclaiming the power that's always been yours. It was never about attracting abundance from outside yourself. It was about recognizing the abundance that you are. The wound that kept you small was never your true identity. The programming that kept you limited was never your actual nature. The fear that kept you playing small was never your real experience. These were all temporary costumes worn by an unlimited being who forgot for a moment their true identity. But now you remember, now you know, now you can feel in your bones, in your breath, in your very being, the truth of who you are. You are not a limited human trying to become abundant. You are unlimited abundance expressing itself through human form. You are not a powerless being trying to manifest success. You are infinite creative power experiencing itself through the vehicle of your desires and dreams. This is your original frequency. This is your natural state. This is who you've always been, who you are right now, and who you will always be, regardless of what circumstances surround you, regardless of what challenges you face, regardless of what the external world might suggest about your limitations. You are abundance itself, temporarily having a human experience. And now that you remember this truth, now that you can feel it in your very cells, everything becomes possible. Not because you've gained something new, but because you've removed the blocks to what was always true. If this message has awakened something in you, if you can feel the truth of these words resonating in your body, not just your mind, I invite you to share this video with someone who needs to remember their own unlimited nature. Your sharing might be the catalyst that helps someone else remember who they really are. And if you're ready to go deeper, to continue this journey of remembering and reclaiming, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because what we're exploring together is just the beginning. There are infinite layers to this truth, infinite ways to embody it, infinite expressions of your unlimited nature, waiting to be discovered and lived. Leave a comment below and let me know what shifted for you as you listened to this. What did you remember about your true nature? What feels possible now that felt impossible before? Your insights might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take their next step on this journey of awakening. Remember, you are not broken. You never were. You are not limited. You never have been. You are not separate from abundance. You never could be. You are abundance itself, finally remembering your true name.